everyone, welcome to Cooking Beautifully. What are you cooking today? Today I have Justin here and it's July 4th. So a lot of time people just go out to grill some meat on July 4th. Are you a grilling master?
I'm the grilling master on July 4th, yep.
Okay, on July 4th. So I'm just thinking, maybe we can grill some steak and carrot and just give it like an Asian spin.
Totally. Yeah. So a clever way that we found to marinate the steak is to apply some cheesecloth to the outside of the steak, and we'll rub the marinade on it. The cheesecloth allows the marinade to penetrate the steak, but keeps the excess marinade off the outside, so when we go to grill it, the excess marinade doesn't burn all over the steak.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to season our steak. So we're going to apply a nice thin layer of salt over the top. We're going to season up high so we get it nice and spread out. Flip it over. Season the other side. And we're going to let that sit on there while we make our wet miso marinade. For our miso marinade, we're going to use our red miso. Going to thin it out with a little bit of red wine. So we're just using a nice, robust red wine, something that you would drink with a ribeye steak.
Nice.
Next thing we're going to do, will you grate the ginger and garlic for me?
Absolutely.
So while she does that, I'm going to add a little bit of brown sugar. Just add a little sweetness to our marinade. And we're going to do some fresh cracked black pepper. All right, we're going to mix that in. And the miso will make the red wine thick, so we can rub it on our steak. And we're also going to save a little bit of this marinade for our carrots later on when we go to cook those. So we have our nice thick marinade. I'm going to add a little ginger and garlic in there. Great. I'm going to lay that on the cheesecloth.
Bundle up.
We're going to bundle him up. All right, just like that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to start applying the marinade. So I like to use rubber gloves just so you can really rub it in there with your hands and you can get it right onto the steak there. So we'll kind of just gently rub into that. Kind of massage the marinade right into it.
Cook with love.
Yeah. And once again, just remember we're going to be using a little bit of that excess marinade for our carrots later on in the meal. All right, now we'll flip the steak and apply the marinade to the other side. I'm going to apply some more marinade to this side. Once again, kind of rubbing it in there. Make sure we get it a little bit on the sides. All right. Now that we have our marinade on, we're going to let that sit for at least 4 hours, up to 12 hours. You don't want to let the marinade sit too long or else the steak's going to get kind of gray all the way through, just the salt and the color of the miso. All right, so when we unwrap our steak, it makes it nice because all of the excess marinade is off of the steak, and we've got a nice clean steak to go into our smoking hot pan. So we want to make sure that our pan is nice and hot. At this point, we don't want to have it too smoky because we'll set off the smoke alarms in our house. But we do want to make sure that it's nice and hot. And cook our steak. So we're going to press the steak down just slightly in the middle, just to make sure it gets a nice solid sear. Then we're going to let that steak cook for a couple minutes. We're going to move the oil around every so often just to make sure it's getting nice even coating of that oil. All right, So now we're going to flip our steak, just being mindful that there is hot oil in the pan, not to get it everywhere. And then once it gets a little bit color on that other side, we're going to add a tab of butter in there. That's going to add to the flavor and also help the coloring. So add a tab of butter. Move that butter around slightly. We're going to baste our steak. It's going to help cook it from both sides. Get nice color. So you can tell that miso marinade definitely helps color the steak up. You can smell the miso coming off of it. The smell of brown butter and miso. Really smells delicious. So we're going to pull our steak out of the pan. And we're going to rest it onto a rack, and we'll take the internal temperature of the steak. So for a medium rare steak, you want your internal temperature to be 110 degrees. For a medium steak, you're looking for more 120 degrees. For a medium well, you're looking for 135, 140 and above. For well done, you want it to be at least 155, 160. So this steak's sitting at about 109 degrees, so that's perfect. We're going to pull that off. We're going to let that rest for about 5-10 minutes, and in the meantime, we're going to cook our carrots. So we're going to start the pan. A little bit of butter. Melt that down. And we're going to take the remainder of our marinade from the steak. Mix that with the butter. Add a tad bit of water. And that water's just going to reduce down. A little bit of salt. Even though we have some salt with the miso, just want to make sure that our carrots get some good seasoning. So we'll add our carrots in. And we're going to bring that up to a full simmer. And we're going to cover that and cook those for, I'd say, about 5 minutes. And we're going to test them. And we'll use a fork. And if they're fork tender, we'll take them out of the pan. We'll reduce the glaze. And then we'll toss them with that glaze. If the glaze is reduced by the time the carrots are cooked, then it'll be perfect. We don't have to remove them from the pan. But we will see when they get cooked. All right, so the carrots are done. They're nice and tender. We've tested it with a fork. And we're gonna make sure that our glaze is nice and reduced, which it actually is. So what we'll end up doing is we will just remove that from the heat, and we're going to put our dish together. All right, so we've let our steak rest for 5 minutes, about 8 minutes actually now. So we're gonna slice into it and see how we did. Not bad. And now let's plate it up with our carrots. So we're going to put the steak onto the plate. And we're going to put our carrots right next to the steak.
Wow, beautiful. I love the color.
And we're going to top it off with a little bit of scallion.
Wow, those steak looks amazing.
It looks tasty.
Should we try?
Yep.
All right. Can't wait to dig in.
The miso.
Wow. I would love to try some carrot too.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh. The carrot goes so well with the steak. And what I really love about this dish is we use the same marinade for both ingredients. And, you know, it's so easy to make, but so much depth, you know, the flavor, the texture, it's just so perfect. Wow, just like you. So this is the recipe we highly recommend you to try at home. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We have more amazing recipes to share with you. Thank you so much for choosing Cooking Beautifully, where memories are made. Hey, cheers.
Cheers.
Happy July 4th.
Happy July 4th.